One is oil, the notion
Hmm.
of peak oil,
Yeah.
limited resources, how we all just feed off of Saudi Arabia. And the only reason they use Saudi Arabia is because it's a satellite colony
Right.
for the British Empire. And you just start studying that shit and you're like, it's all bullshit. There is enough for everybody, but we're just so manipulated and brainwashed. We rush to these giant cities where resources become limited because it's overwhelmed with the amount of people. We're not all meant to live in this concrete jungle. Like
No.
even if I
No.
moved to Austin, I would not live in Austin. I would live way outside of Austin. That I could
Yeah.
drive into Austin, get a little of that Sixth Street action, then go back to the city where and Johnny says it all
Yeah.
the time. Like we're gonna get to a point where you're gonna live in these giant cities, and part of the deal is here's all this action that you could partake in, but you give up certain liberties, certain civil liberties, like you're always being monitored, you're always being listened to, you won't be able to drive a car. You won't be like, it's just going to be a new world order hellscape, but you're going to be able to go party with hot chicks at bars. I mean, like that's going to be the give and take that goes on there. There'll be corporate opportunities and hot chicks to hang out with, and drugs will be flowing. And you're going to want, and if you're young, that sounds really cool, but you're giving up a lot of your freedoms to enjoy that kind of weird, quick fix lifestyle. And then
Hmm.
out in the small suburban is that suburban or is that the what which yeah suburban areas.
I know the area right outside the city, suburban, and then beyond
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then what's outside country, out in
Rural,
the
rural.
country,
Rural.
rural,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, out in the rural areas where you're going to be able to live free, and that's how it goes.
See, I don't understand New York. Like you said, you lose freedom. I can't understand not having a car and relying on the subway. Even though we always talk about my car isn't going to take me far because of traffic, but that freedom of knowing that if I kind of want to, I kind of can do it when I want to or go. On New York, I don't understand how people live with no cars, just subways. If shit hits the fan, where are you going to go? What are you going to do?
All I tell people is read Agenda 2020, read Agenda 2030, and read Agenda 2020. That's what set me straight. If I had any idea what was going to be perpetrated, like the way the control grid was going to work, and like what you're saying is so true about cars. In Agenda, and we're watching it play out perfectly right now. Like in Agenda 21, they literally say that they're going to make cars way too expensive to own. They're going to outlaw the fuels. They're going to make
Yeah.
flying. They're going to make flying undesirable. They literally said this in the Agenda 21 papers. They're going to
Okay,
make
was it Agenda
flying.
21 or was it Agenda 2050? Because I've been saying that forever. That everything you're seeing with airlines right now is being done purposefully to get you not to want to fly.
Exactly. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to, it's like the Truman Show. You know how they would show like on the news, like the planes crashing and the boat sinking. So he would have the fear and had no desire to like venture out of his little bubble.
Yeah.
They're literally engineering that at the moment with the airlines. Like I know when I've been flying for a long time, I got to fly before 9/11 as you did, Sam. Flying used to be great before
Oh, it
9/11,
was
and then the
awesome.
TSA and then all this other BS. Like I remember having a girlfriend walking her up to her gate and loving on her before she's flying away. You can't do any of that stuff now. It's just like the whole thing, they're making it undesirable because they're conditioning. Remember, it's a slow boil. It's never like immediate. They'll have the Black Swan event that's an immediate thing, but they slow boil you for a while before the Black Swan. And then the Black Swan is the social engineering event where then they can justify the quick turn. And there's historical precedence for it. They've been doing it forever.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, we've seen this in science fiction movie. I forget the book that it was, but they were making movies where childbirth seemed like the most painful shit you've ever gone through ever,
Right.
so people would stop having kids. Like everything is a mental manipulation, and that's why on social media, plane parts falling out, people getting in fights, everything all your flights are delayed a million times over, so you don't want to fly. Why all the billionaires and millionaires get fucking private jets to fly.
The whole thing with the Agenda 2030 and the Agenda 21 and all this BS is like they keep betting that humans won't be resilient. And I keep telling people we're like roaches, man. We're literally like roaches. You can spray us, you can squish us, you can do all this stuff. And you're never going to get rid of that internal imperative to reproduce. You're just not. Like you're not going to like there's an indomitable spirit because we're made in the image and likeness of our creator. So it's just like you can lie and pull all this BS. It has a shelf life, and that shelf life with every new thing that's done to kind of like dissuade us from being successful, they fail over and over and over again. Like you guys have had Ole Damagard on a bunch of times, Light on Conspiracies. Ole's the guy who got me into podcasting in 2014. Ole is just like he shows how many times these guys fail. You know,
No,
they really
I'm with you
pump
on
up-
that. I'm with you on
They
that.
really-
And like, you know, it's like the big thing is like I've organized so many shows. I organize stuff all the time. The wheels constantly go off the track. The train's constantly flying off the track. Your job is to try to keep it on. And that's on a small, small level. Imagine trying to be the top of the food chain of humanity and trying to convince everybody to fall in line. I am convinced that humans have a certain level which they'll go to and they won't go past it. That's my opinion. Like I really do believe that they think we're all going to go into this metaverse, and I just think people are only going to go so far. I think you're going to get some people that want to escape the reality of what they're feeling right now because they don't feel like they can compete in a marketplace of ideas. So they escape into somewhere where they can be a superhero and wreck shop. And that in that kind of way, you have this weird kind of depopulation, right? Agenda where now you're getting rid of all the Antifas and the Starbucks, you know, baristas and all the purple and blue haired people who I don't hate. They're very kind to me when I go to Starbucks, but they seem to be like really lost in the progressivism. You're going to see a lot of them just fade into the metaverse. I don't see people who are, I don't know if you've seen this Victoria's Secret show with this one model who is just absolutely gorgeous. I don't see her going into the metaverse. She has too much going on right here for her to be lost in the metaverse where like she's going to be dating like aristocrats and having their children.
You don't think that'll get rid of all the betas and all the cat ladies and all the ugly people? Because I mean,
it's gonna be so appealing, so alluring. What's coming that. Yeah, they're gonna make it. They've already started. When we talked about it, Sam, on Broken Sim, you've noticed now at fashion shows like where they always see these ideas of future fashion trends, these big glasses showing up everywhere, and it's because the first generation of these holographic glasses, which Meta just introduced, in a prototype form, are gonna look big by modern standards. So they're prepping, they're laying the groundwork for that. And dude, it's gonna be in the hands of the influencers and all the cool people first before anybody else. That's what Apple has said that they're doing with VR right now. They say they want you to desire it before you can afford it. That's why they put out a product that's $3,500. Who can afford to pay $3,500 right now? Yeah. Only rich people or people who are given it, influencers. So
that's the trend though.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to build and work with a lot of very wealthy people, and I have to say, we had this term when I lived in Costa Rica. We called them trustafarians because they were trust fund babies, and they had nothing to do except go into their desires. And it's like Buddha said, he goes, desire, when you go into desires, it's a fire that when you feed it, it just gets hotter and hotter. So it needs more and more. And invariably, these trustafarians end up living a very quick and dead life because you can only do so much sensory stimulation. Like you can only do so much before it becomes so passé. Like literally, I knew guys that had every little 18-year-old bunny on their jock from the get because of what they were producing and what music videos these women could be in and yada 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 yada. Dude, these were the most miserable men you'd ever meet in your life. You know, they're not. The one thing I know for certain is that when you are corrupt, you're incompetent. They go together. The greater the level of corruption, internal corruption a person has, the more incompetent they are. So I've seen this firsthand with the Bitcoin bros and being overseas and stuff like that. All these people with more money than they know what to do with, they all fail fast because they have the money to fail fast. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't, and that's why their plans never work, is because without a doubt, if you're corrupt, you become incompetent. Logos, coherence, like when you're in jurisdiction with your creator, you have power. You actually have the ability to do things in the world. The influencers, they're all working for powers and principalities. That's why the devil hates his minions. The devil, there's no loyalty between thieves. They all
You're
get
so right.
eaten.
You're
There-
so right,
there's
dude.
not
You're
a single
so right.
there's not a single one of them that the devil likes. The devil is like, "Oh, you're going to follow me? You're an idiot."
Dude, and
You
guess
know,
and when you see like when like let's say corrupt governments take over, let's say communism and stuff like that, the first people they get rid of are the brown shirts.
yeah,
Everybody that helped them overcome and take out their own people, that's the first people they get rid of. If you're willing to take out your own, why would I want you around? And they get rid of them first.
exactly. You got it. That's such a great example. Yeah, so
Um,
that's what I'm saying is like, and you see this in nature. What does nature do? Like, well, one of the reasons why I have a soil company, like my podcast is called the Biochar Isma podcast. I started a soil company about 10 years ago because it was very obvious if there was bad soil, there was bad plants, and the bugs would come and eat the bad plants. If there were healthy plants, the bugs didn't come and eat them. It's very simple. Like if you're corrupt and you're all this stuff, the bugs are going to come and eat you. You're in bad soil. You have a bad foundation. It's very simple. There are certain natural law principles that cannot, if you're in this construct, whatever this construct is, you have to abide by natural law. You think you're tricky, you might think you're like smart, and you might think you're like crafty and whatever. It only lasts so long. Because to the one of them, there's not somebody that I know that has more than what they've earned that's happy. The people that get what they deserve, they're happy. The people that receive more and more and more because they serve the beast, not a single one of them has joy in their eyes. When you look at them in their eyes, they're dead. And then they look to people that actually do have joy for inspiration. It's a very interesting thing.
I could, it's so funny. I apply that so much to to just like fame. There's so many famous people that seem miserable. They just
Mhm.
aren't happy. It gets on that whole thing where I don't know if the number's still the same, but there was this belief that like once you get anything past $70,000 a year, doesn't
Yeah.
bring any more. I'm sure if we adjust that for inflation, it's probably
And
more
living in
around
Los Angeles, yeah.
85,000. If
Right.
anything above 85,000, it doesn't make you any more happy.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, and it just like it just fits into this. Like
Well, it's
there's
also
so much.
sorry to add to your really quickly. The lottery winners too. They always come back to baseline. They win. They get that pump when they get the money at first, and then they always end up right back to where they were before. There have been studies that prove that.